Hey, I'm excited that you're interested in this retreat and just want to talk about it for a little bit in case you're new to me, my retreats, and this topic. So, I run these retreats every few months on different topics, and I pick something that has been particularly poignant and resonant in my life so that when I do lead the retreat, there's an aliveness to it. And surrender is one of those topics that has been very much in my mind, my heart, and my body, and definitely my soul uh, for, I'd say, more like the last 5 years or so. My background is living in Asia, doing a lot of contemplative practice where we meditate 14 hours a day, really showed me that there's a place within us that is already free and whole and full and spacious and loved, and that we can connect to that in a particular way. And it is just the deepest, most rewarding, most fulfilling thing that we can touch into. And almost that, like everything else we're looking for, like the relationship, the job, the house, the good weather, all of it, it's all like some idea of it's going to take us to a sense of completeness or okayness and wholeness. And that instead of just externalizing that, there's a way to really get to the heart of it within you by dropping in, by getting connected to stillness and seeing who you are beyond just the noise of your mind and your body and your emotions. So those practices were really powerful for that. But it was another thing to translate that, to transfer that knowing into the world outside of a monastery where it's just really complicated, where you get caught up in your attachment stuff with other people, where you need to make money, where you have an identity, where you just need to take care of stuff. You go in a monastery, they cook food for you, even can do your laundry. So that's just it's a whole other thing. And what I've found to be the bridge to that, taking that awakened state, that deep knowing of completeness, of me-ness, just that pulse of like, this is who I am, this is where I want to dwell, this is the point of my life, to be here. To take that into the world, to me, has just been the process of surrender. And why is that? Well, if we view the opposite of surrender as holding on, what is the thing that's holding on? We could say it's the ego structure, the conglomeration of beliefs that you have, that you've developed over the course of a lifetime about who you need to be in order to be safe, loved, and connected. And that guides your life. It tells you how to make decisions, who to be with, what's going to make you happy. And sometimes you can get lucky with that. It can certainly help you out. And no doubt the ego structure can keep us safe. It can get us praise. It can help us make a lot of money. But if you're listening to this, there's a good chance you've been disillusioned by some of your usual ways of getting the things that you think you want. And just seeing like, oh, even when I do get what I think I want, there's still something it doesn't feel like it's quite it. There's something more, there's something deeper that didn't fulfill. And that is because we're just operating from the wrong place within us. It's kind of like trying to calm your mind by just saying, calm down mind, calm down mind, calm down mind. All you're doing is just reinforcing the neuroses that are causing you to have an agitated mind in the first place. And that's what it's like to try to find deep fulfillment through the ego structure. It's just like, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this. We just got to hold on more to this. We just had to do that. We got to play out this story. We got to do the thing that they told us or this friend told us. It's just like, it's actually taking you further from yourself. And you're just sort of circling around the deeper thing. And there's no doubt you've experienced the deeper thing at some point in your life in different places where you get still enough and there's just this sense of like, oh, this feels more me. This is what's next. There's like a whisper of a voice that just knows like I'm supposed to be going in this direction. I don't know why. My mind doesn't want that. My ego is saying no, it should be this or that. But there's just this deep sense of like it's that. And sometimes we listen to that and it's a beautiful thing, but much of the time we don't because it's scary. And the holding on that I'm referring to is that ego structure wanting to stay in control, not being willing to let go and trust that deeper thing that's moving through you. Now, that doesn't mean that, if you have a family and you have, 5 kids and you're working a job and then there's this feeling of like, oh, I want to do something else, or something in my job doesn't feel right. It doesn't mean that you just blow that all up. That again is also the ego. That's the ego coming in and saying, oh, there's a feeling of this not being right. What do? Just destroy it all. Leave the marriage, leave the kids, leave the job. That's not the soul voice. That's not wisdom. Wisdom presents itself in moments, and it's softer, and it's like, oh, it's not this. And so if we stay with that, we then filter it through. We filter that wisdom through the reality of where our life is. It's like, oh, I do have 5 kids. I'm married, and I do have this job, and something doesn't feel right about just blowing all of that up. But there's something that's off, and can I stay on the frequency of something being off and just follow where that takes me? Like really surrender to that and let go a bit and allow space for that in my system, and see what that starts pulling me to. This is an example of getting back in alignment with the truth of something deeper in you, a place that is freer, that's more intrinsically you, and starting to surrender to that. And it can happen in small moments. And in this retreat, we're going to talk about and just explore through practices and conversations why that's so difficult, why it's so hard, why we grasp so deeply, and really how to work with those moments of grasping and to facilitate a softening, so that you can actually lead a life that feels yours. It's deeply, deeply yours, and it's being inspired from the deepest place in you that feels the most you, and that feels the most free and spacious and true. And I just want that for you more than anything. So, you can read below and see all the different things you get. There's lots of bonus resources. I want to make sure you're well equipped after this is over. With different meditations and practices and videos on a bunch of different topics, not just surrender, but a lot to do with surrender. You can see the schedule down below as well, and just more of the talking points. And what I'd say is that if something about this is pulling you, then maybe the first step of surrender is just surrendering to that. I work with so many people in these retreats, and so many of them have resistance going into it. It's like, I'm not sure if this is for me, and they do. And I've never had an experience where someone who was on the edge like that then came back and said, oh, I really regret doing that. It's almost always the total opposite. And so we can trust that pulse that's moving through us, like there's something here. And similarly, if you're feeling like, no, this isn't right for me, you can trust that too. Might not be the right time. There might be some things that you're playing out, some holding on that playing out, and that the surrender is just a little too scary right now, and that will have its own karmic trajectory. So trust that. But if you're interested in the content and you're not available this weekend, it is all recorded, and so you'll get lifelong access to the recordings if you register, and you can view it at your own time and at your own pace. And over 50% of people end up doing that, so you don't need to attend live. But that's all for now. Would love to have you here if you're inspired. You can register below, learn more below, and if finances are genuinely a barrier, if you would not otherwise be able to attend, just reach out at Corey@limindfulness.com. We have some partial scholarships for those who just wouldn't be able to attend otherwise due to finances. So please don't let that be a barrier if that is indeed the case. Thanks so much. Hope to see you there. Take care.